Virgil, welcome.
All right, perfect. So thank you for having me on Chain.io. Again, thanks for putting this together, allowing us the opportunity to share our experience over the last 10 years and also talk a little bit about the trends that we see in the industry and how they may be impacting the industry we share. So I'd start with Catapult being an Excelia company. Excelia is a global provider of technology platforms and software for the travel and transportation industry. We service over 400 different airlines with headquarters in Barcelona. We're a Vista Equity Partners company. We're actually the first company under their perennial fund, which means a fund that essentially has no ending. So it allows us to feed our ambitious growth objectives that we have. You know, our solutions are around these four pillars. Financial solutions are focusing on the financial operations, managing cost, risk, the revenue leakage, and the profitability of the business as a whole. The commercial solutions, they focus on areas like revenue management, analytics around sales intelligence, really anything to do with the growth of revenue for the airline companies. The industry solutions, and interesting on the discussions with Flexport and the earlier conversations about standardization, Excelia actually partners with IATA, and we've been helping airlines transform and standardize the way that they have their different processes. So we're well aware of how the impacts of standardization can really bring the innovation to the space. And then we have our cargo solutions. So Excelia provides different platforms and software to the air cargo industry. This is where the Catapult business unit lies. We're the rate and pricing arm of Excelia. And what we do is basically we're putting the right rate in the hands of the right people at the right time. The idea is you know, we're managing those rates and we're putting them there for the customers. We've been around for a bit, so 10 plus years. We're working across the different modes. Our roots come from ocean, but we do also service the ground and airspace, working with 60 global forwarders and shippers across 100 countries, integrating with over 17 different companies. That's from LCL feeds and getting those rates in the system, also to collaboration with other platforms as Zanetta to allow decision data points to make the better decisions on which rates to use. We're managing over 18 billion rates in our system, so quite a bit, and over 30,000 active contracts in the platform. So the rate digitization story. Sorry. We can start in the dinosaur age, but maybe we don't start there. From phone and fax times, of course, you know, the rates were being exchanged, a lot of paper, a lot of error, a lot of revenue leakage there. The internet came to help us in bringing things online. But then it did also help create a bit of chaos in terms of how many different formats and how the rates were being shared across the parties in the freight industry. This is where the founders of Catapult really saw an opportunity and created Catapult to digitize those rates, bring them into one platform, allowing you to compare and make the best decisions on which rates to quote to your clients. This was an issue that they were having themselves. Then, you know, with the innovation technologies coming into the space, Catapult's been investing, as well as other platforms out there, investing in improving their platforms. We've modernized our QMS, which is our flagship platform for rate management, and now we're in a place where, you know, it allows for a lot more sophisticated business rules to allow specific people to view the rates or what rights they have to do and take actions upon the rates that they're seeing in the system. And, you know, going to the areas where we see rates going next, we see four key areas. This is also from experience that we're seeing from our air cargo colleagues in Excelia. One of the areas in this first area, I think we're beginning to see a little bit this now, is around the dynamic and intelligent pricing with the spot APIs in the spot rate offerings that some of the carriers are providing. We see this becoming much more advanced and sophisticated in the coming months, years. There's so much more data available to make smarter decisions and smarter algorithms to allow that. Things like historical rate data, historical sales rate data, to booking data, the demand forecast, allocation management, and all the data that goes across with that. So we see this becoming one of the key focus areas, and our air cargo revenue management folks are even now using machine learning and artificial intelligence to create customer profiles to personalize the way that the data may change dynamically for you specifically. So one of the key areas we see coming into Ocean as well. Revenue optimization. On the revenue optimization side, on the air, we've been seeing the trend of all the value add and ancillary charges in revenue growth in that area. And as carriers and forwarders get a stronger grip on their costs and having sophisticated systems that will allow them to dynamically change the prices according to what is happening in the market. Another area, the cross-modal incentives. So in the ocean world, we're very familiar with allocation management, and a lot of the pricing has impacts based on allocation and how you're meeting your commitments. In the air cargo side, what we see is also the incentives around your cargo spend, and also ways that are personalizing the way that incentives work themselves. So things like looking at your commitment, your loyalty, the accuracy, these sort of things are also driving and can be an opportunity to have solutions around how you manage incentives with your clients. And then the other item here is rate data integration. So this one might seem as an obvious one, but when we really look at the amount of data, or does a customer, or do many global players out there actually have all of their global rate data in one system? Maybe for one mode, but not exactly across all. At least that's what we see, different systems being used. So integrating all of that data into one platform, and then allowing a platform that is very flexible and allowing data to either come into the system, allowing for better decisions, or then also allowing that to be an output to facilitate other processes in the system, is another area that we see is going to be a key focus. The freight digitization story, I think, from the conversations so far, many of us understand this, but just to talk about it a little bit, the early 2000s, where, data entry was key. You wanted to have, and go through the workload at high cost areas and locations of bringing the data into one place. There was benefit, but obviously, some errors come with that. Costly locations where that was being done is where things really started. Then, being part of Intra, I kind of experienced the adoption and the difficulty in the adoption from the early 2000s to the mid 2000s on the adoption of technology like EDI around the booking process, documentation, track and trace. But by the end of the 2000s, you kind of had a pretty decent level of adoption there, at least from an EDI side, where some of the benefits and efficiencies were being seen. Then what we kind of around 2010 mark, and also due to some of the recession and just the situation in the industry, more and more companies were looking for offshoring opportunities. The obvious reason for cheaper cost of labor. That also, of course, then comes with some gaps that you may have in language, or that you may have in time zone, prone to errors, things like that can happen. So then we moved on to mapping programs. So mapping the different data sets into one view. So allowing that standardization of, or trying to allow that standardization of viewing data. From a Catapult perspective, what we really invested in that, and it ended up being a costly investment because the formats were just changing so often that as you finished one mapping project, that supplier or vendor was then changing the way that data was coming in. So there was progress to be made, and progress was made, but then kind of just the change and fluctuation in the industry really allowed it to not really progress as fast as it could. 2018 was really the tipping point where we started to see all the investment in freight tech. I mean, there was investment before then, but 2018, really a lot of different entrants coming into the industry. We also saw an opportunity to invest in our platform, modernizing the user experience, allowing the APIs to be more flexible, having an output of that API to just follow the downstream process and facilitating that process. And now we're in 2020 with so much new technology coming into play, and the new technology is facilitating a lot of innovation, and we see entrants coming in on a regular basis. And I think that that's actually one of the areas that we need to focus on. Is there's so many that you need to focus on doing your due diligence and saying, okay, that one's cool, but is it really bringing the value that I need for my business? So doing that due diligence and seeing how it fits with your business is going to be quite important as we move on here in this freight digitization story. But definitely progress is being made with the new technologies that we have coming into the industry, and now all the innovation that it is facilitating. So talking about what's next in technology, and we try to focus on 6 key areas. So new technologies like artificial intelligence, RPA, machine learning, interoperable platforms are bringing a lot of opportunity. 6 key areas that we see would bring benefit to the industry is first, assuring that you have a good foundation. So a modern platform that really allows you to be flexible and keep up with the trends. Having that flexible API ability, information coming in, also output of that information will be key. That's the strong foundation that you need to have in place. The next, customer enablement, thinking about the customer first. I think that was also said in the previous panel. Solutions around customer-facing platforms. We have one of those solutions. There are other entrants in the market with those solutions. Getting, from our perspective, getting that rate data to the customers quickly and accurately is very important, and we see that as a core area in the technology area. So talking a bit more about others. So on the automation, again, mentioned the RPA, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So this is really taking a serious look at how you're ingesting the data, and then taking a step further from that. So how do you ingest it? But then what is the data telling you? That is very important to also have as a part of the process, not just on the automation. Accelerating the business rules. So really that's there's many different technologies out there that have business rules, but now with so many more additional data points that we have out there, creating more sophisticated business rules and allowing them to do the work, or at least more work for you as a business, facilitating the data that then shows in those customer facing platforms and so forth is going to be key. Then business process enablement. This is sometimes overlooked, but what we mean by this one is making sure that your technology is actually working very closely with the business and understanding the business process. We see cases where, nice new APIs are coming in, or the spot API data comes in, but then at the time of actually making the operational execution, then you don't have visibility to what was actually within that spot rate, and then that becomes difficult to fit into the business process. So making sure you're thinking about the business process through the technology is very important. Then big data platforms. I know this is one of those other terms that kind of gets thrown around a bit, but we see the importance of it from the amount of data, again, that is out there, and the duplication of that data, uh, which one is the source of truth, and actually having it all integrated into one big data platform can allow you to then with data science and other analysis, really see where you can become more efficient, or if you're having revenue leakage, or if you're winning business, why you're winning or why you're losing. So very important areas, and the 6 key areas we'd say the industry needs to focus on to keep up and move forward with technology first, to grow their business. So talking about Catapult and where we fit in, and also our ambitions and where we are, we have, sorry, we're focusing our attention around the procure to bid. So we have a tender solution. The tender solution will now be enhanced and improved to include additional features for round management, and also allow you to procure, to then bid and grasp all that rate data that's within core systems and our QMS system. Enhancing and improving our customer facing platform will be key as well, and we're working on that. Another area that we continue to help push forward is what we call DCX, so Digital Contract Exchange. So we're working closely with Maersk, OOCL, Hamburg Sud, CMA, CGM, APL, ANL, ONE, in digitizing their contracts. We have a number of those live already or in pilot. Maersk, OOCL live, CMA, APL, and ANL in a pilot with a client right now, so soon coming for other customers. ONE, we're in conversations with them, developing the API that will then facilitate the exchange of the contract data. And Hamburg Sud is taking an interesting view of the API and actually looking to exchange a full contract via API that will be interesting for the industry. Revenue management, again, this is where we're looking to use the knowledge from our air cargo revenue management activities and bringing that to an ocean perspective, creating opportunities for algorithms around dynamic pricing. Our company, Excelia, works with RPA and artificial intelligence in areas like reading invoices and then having auto dispute processes. So we were bringing that into the ocean side of things as well. We'll continue to work on the decision support functions. So collaborating with companies like Zeneta, bringing in other data sources that allow for better decisions is also going to be key to what we want to do. And then two last items here, the cross-modal incentive management. This is where we're wanting to work on allocation management, but then also rethinking that, also bringing in the knowledge from what is done on the airline side, and really looking at how how do you provide a platform that has one source of truth and really allows you to personalize the way that you provide incentives to your clients, and have that one platform for all. And then big data platform. The Excelia Group has a big data platform where we ingest data from the different customers that we work with. We then use the data scientists available for that to uh, derive different insights into how we can facilitate growth to grow revenue and bring profitability to the companies that we work with. So these are the areas here, eight areas that we're focusing on. We're continuing to invest in bringing innovation to the industry. So we've been around some time, but you know, have that experience of knowing what has worked, what hasn't worked, what innovation we had at some point that didn't work, maybe based on timing, based on technology and adoption, and where today it might actually be the right time for that. So this is what I have for today. If you have, again, thank you for the time and allowing to present a bit about Catapult, where we see the industry, where we see some of the trends going, specifically around the rate space. And you know, if you're looking for additional information, you can go to gocatapult.com. You can also reach me at vferreira@gocatapult.com, and look forward to hearing from you. And Chain.io, thank you again for the opportunity.
Thanks so much, Virgil. Really appreciate it.